Click on that button.
We have more technological problems.
Hey, everybody, this is Joanne Musa, the tax lien lady, and I'm here with Charles Sells of PIP Group. And Charles and I have known each other for a long time. And I always enjoy doing a webinar with Charles, and he always has some neat investment opportunities for tax lien investors and people who like investing in tax foreclosed properties. So, Charles, I am going to let you take it away.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, as always. So today we're kind of jumping ahead. I know we're going to do like a series of items, and they all kind of go in order. But, we're talking about investing in pre-deeds. I know nobody has heard of investing in pre-deeds because we kind of came up with the term ourselves, and we're going to explain exactly what they are and how we get there. So before we get started, as I told you earlier today, we almost weren't able to make it to this webinar because we had a historic day in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina today. We had, I believe it was approximately 4 inches of snow. So I'm broadcasting from home with my dog, and you can see we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So if we have technological problems, please understand it's just because our internet screwed up. There's my lovely wife and our new baby. It's just been a crazy day here. So we'll jump right to it. But again, if we have any kind of problems, people just please be patient. It's because we've had crazy storms here and something that none of us down here in the South are used to. So let's jump right to it. The PIP group. I began my career at 23 years old. I started my own business at 26, investing in tax liens. We're now pretty much in everything that's distressed real estate. We offer a wide range of services, like we're going to discuss pre-deeds tonight, to both foreign and domestic investors. We service investors between $50,000 to $150 million accounts. We have some hedge funds that we do audits, if you will, and help offload their REO, which is actually where some of this pre-deed stuff comes from. And we'll explain why they offload that the way they do. We've been in business about 20 years, close to 1,000 clients served. We've got a lot of awards, and we've been asked to speak at different conferences and television broadcasts, that sort of thing. Before we jump ahead and people say, oh no, it's $50,000 investment, we're talking about pre-deeds here. And like our secondary market tax liens that became very popular with your audience, Joanne, these investments are a really great way to get into the market at the beginner stage, if you will. The investments are far less than a $50,000 commitment. And as we'll show you, they have phenomenal opportunity to make substantial profits. Again, back to our awards. 2017 5-Star Institute Emerging Leader, 2016 Think Realty Master Investor of the Year. I'm going to explain kind of why the importance of awards and Better Business Bureau ratings are important to us these days. Better Business Bureau, we've all heard of it. We all know about it. Some of us put a lot of credibility into it. Some of us just say, it's kind of a pay-to-play type of rating system. As I learned recently, it's really not. They are pretty much the only ones left out there that really do their homework and try to provide a legitimate rating when there's so many sounding boards and online platforms that a disgruntled employee or anything can really make a company challenge itself and its legitimacy. Less than 10% of private businesses in the U.S. Actually qualify for a BBB accreditation. Again, the research they do, I didn't realize was so substantial. But when we got our rating, they pulled our banking records, our financial statements, past complaints, lawsuits, luckily of which we've never been involved in, states of operation, that sort of thing. And what I also found interesting is that you actually have to be approved by a board of directors. I always thought the BBB was just this massive conglomerate, but no, it's actually not that bad. And again, the reason for being, for trusting in these things is there's a lot of what they call now, they've actually been defined as trolls on the internet. So it's nice to have a long-standing big brother out there that can separate the fact from the fiction. So I just want to put it out there that we are a accredited business, and we've been in business quite a long time, and it's quite difficult to get that kind of a rating. So on to what we do. On behalf of PIP Group clients, we provide double-digit returns investing in distressed real estate. So again, that's going to include tax liens, which most of you are interested in, obviously, if you've come through the tax lien lady. Tax deeds, secondary market tax liens, which is something that we actually pioneered a number of years ago and has become, a huge business in the industry. It's now traded actually similar to like stocks and bonds within our industry, and has become a multi-million dollar business. Pre-deeds, which we're talking about tonight, and bank foreclosures, those are going to be the things that are you hear a lot about these days. Cash flow properties, fix and flips, that sort of thing. So we really do cover everything in the distressed real estate market. So distressed real estate, a lot of you have done the late night thing and bought the really expensive courses that with the weekend workshops that tend to last longer than a weekend, and they make distressed real estate look sexy. Let's get this clear real quick. Distressed real estate is not sexy. These are actual properties. That's me with a gas mask on going.
I love it.
Right? So these are actual properties that we go into, and this is typical of the type of business we do. This particular property, this is kind of my bait you until you stay until the end of the presentation. This property is something that was acquired. Do you still call, are your customers, Joanne, they're students, right? Students?
Yeah, well, some of the people on this call are students. Some of them are subscribers that just get my emails.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, cool. So right. All right. So this lovely home, as you can see, it looks like they just put Band-Aids all over it. Big giant plywood Band-Aids. This beauty here, this sexy piece of property, was acquired by one of your either subscribers or your students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all
so
right.
That's why I wanted to use this particular one, because you look at it and you say, oh my. But at the end of this presentation, you're going to see what she did, and what she did was phenomenal.
Oh, I think I know who it is, and she is one of my students, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so that being said, we provide high-yield, collateralized, conservative investments. I know that house doesn't look conservative, but we're going to get there. So just, hang tight. Our investments are real, they're passive, and they're turnkey solutions. So what the PIP Group offers is they offer investments in distressed real estate. However, we do all of the work for you. So whether it's buying the tax liens, doing the due diligence, managing all the processes of owning tax liens, foreclosure, running the contractors, hiring the real estate agents, whatever is involved, we handle all of those processes for you. And because we've been doing it so long, obviously we've gone through all the trial and everything of making our own mistakes and providing good, solid investment opportunity for our investors. That being said, pre-deeds don't require it to be passive, just like this particular investment was something that was acquired through the PIP Group. Your student actually did all the work on her own after she acquired it from us. But we'll get there. So again, we're talking about pre-deeds. Sorry, I went one too far, one too many. Complex investments made simple. A lot of, I'm sure what you described, Joanne, is there's a lot more to investing in tax liens or investing in distressed real estate than just buy, hold, wait for redemption, foreclose, fix, flip, done. That's the end of it. I counted right before we started this presentation, and I came up with a minimum of 16 steps that are involved from the time you purchase a lien in Illinois to the time you can actually liquidate that investment. So there's a lot involved in there. That doesn't even include all the little things like take notices that have to be filed, legal notices, that sort of thing. But we'll get there. So again, just describing the fact that distressed real estate is not sexy. However, it's profitable. This property was purchased for $15,000. It To a lot of investors, they would say, "No way, you're nuts. That's it's a postage stamp. Nobody's going to live in that thing." This is what we turned it into within a matter of months. Purchase price was $15,500. Total repairs $21,000. We listed and sold it within a couple of weeks for $72,000 because it sold so quick. That tends to irritate me a little bit because that tells me we probably listed too low. But
Yeah, but that's great. Wow, that really looks great.
Right? It's a big turnaround. It's a big turnaround. So distressed real estate always gets this. You're buying these slums and doing Section 8 housing, and yes, we do some of that. But as an investor, I don't care about the glitz and glam. I want the profits. And however we have to get there. This was a very simple rehab. It didn't take long. A little lipstick, and we're done and out. The cash on cash return on this investment was 51%. The annualized return was 62%. So this is what we do. So distressed real estate, again, I'm going to say it again and again and again. It's not sexy, but it's very profitable. So how do we get, where do pre-deeds come from? I categorize, or the PIP group categorizes tax lien investors into two categories. You have your redemption investors. All they want to do is they want high interest rates on redeemed tax liens. That's all they're looking for. And I apologize, somebody's still working at this hour. So you may see little things pop up on my Dropbox screen here. So the state of Illinois, which is primarily what we're talking about tonight, is one of those states. It's a redemption state. The other 50% of investors are property investors. They want the property. They want to buy it. They want something that they can hold, if you will. It's tangible. They can juggle it and make decisions with it. It's not up to the homeowner to just redeem it or not redeem it and then figure out what's going to happen next. So the state of Illinois is primarily categorized as a redemption investor state. With that, redemption investors don't necessarily want to own the property regardless of what the potential profits may be in doing so. However, foreclosure remains the strongest leverage to force redemption. Well, what happens if it doesn't force redemption? You're going to take deed to the property. Now, I've bolded here and enlarged, can't afford the liability. By liability, I'm not talking about insurance, somebody gets hurt on the property. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about liability and the fact that most large tax lien buyers, and we're talking large, we're talking $5 million or more, but those are what are primarily represented at the tax sales. They leverage their investments, and by doing so, they're set to a very strict set of standards and rules. They can only buy 1% of mobile homes. They can only buy owner-occupied, that sort of thing. What happens is if they take deed to too many properties, that hurts their buying power or their buying leverage. They're in the business to buy tax liens, not foreclose on property. So that's the liability I'm talking about. So they want to offload these things as quickly as they possibly can, get their money out of them, and move on to get more buying power to buy more tax liens. So liability is essentially buying power in this description. All right, so here we go through the processes. This is the 16 steps to get you to your pre-deed. Taxes become delinquent in the state of Illinois. They're advertised for sale, and a public auction is held, which all of you listening already know. There's a redemption and maturation period. In the state of Illinois, it's set at 2.5 years. By law, you can extend that to 3 years. Because it's a redemption state, PIP Group extends all of the redemptions on behalf of our clients to 3 years because, again, we're trying to get more redemptions rather than foreclose on properties. Then, obviously, you have to make that decision of foreclosure and quiet title action. The PIP Group, once we get through that 3-year process, or it really happens more at the 2-year mark, we do a reassessment of the collateral property. The reason we do that, when this comes up, it's been 2 years, and a lot of clients will say, oh, well, you should have done that due diligence before you bought the lien. Well, we do. But a lot can happen in 2 years. A lot can happen in 2 years. And we won't get into that in this presentation, but
Oh, I'm dealing with that right now on a property that I'm actually going to get to foreclose on because, we won't go into that now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so much can happen. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure the collateral is there to, validate the foreclosure, if you will. Part of that process with us is what we call owner-occupant notification and terms negotiation. A lot of these properties, they're occupied. They could be occupied by a tenant who's still paying rent to the owner we're about to foreclose on. They could be occupied by the owner who's on a fixed income and just can't come up with the money to pay it, but we can work out terms that are agreeable to our client as well as to them and keep them in the property. That's obviously ideal. That's something we like to do. That little Dropbox screen you just saw pop up said payment plans. That's exactly what this is payment plans that we set up for people so we don't foreclose on their properties. Then whatever's left over from that, we do secondary market listings and sales. And then we start the foreclosure and the prove-up process. So this is all the legal work that's involved. That takes about 9 months in order to quiet the title and foreclose on the property.
I just want to interject.
Internet.
Interject. That's the right word I'm looking for. Interject something here, Charles. I don't mean to interrupt, but don't try this at home. That's what I want to say, because first of all, you can't do this in every state. I just want people to know that Illinois is one of the states where you can deal with the property owner and have them make payments to you. In some states that's illegal. So PIP really knows what they're doing. They've been doing this for years. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I'm no, absolutely. I 100% agree. Don't try this at home. And not only that, but you're gonna, when you knock on these doors, they're not happy to see you. So there's obviously a certain tact and certain people we use. Sometimes we even use off-duty police officers to do this for us. But more importantly, like you said, certain states don't allow it, and it'll even essentially invalidate your interest in the property or the lien itself. So we're talking specifically about Illinois. So that's what we do here. So anyhow, the hearings are held, the prove-ups are filed, then we go to court for the hearings, and as long as everything went well in that process, an order for the deed to the property is granted by the judge. The state of Illinois, it's essentially a quiet title, so it's a warranted title to the property. That's still labeled tax deed, but it's a clean deed. So this is where your pre-deed comes into play. The order for the deed has been granted. Now you have these hedge funds and redemption buyers at this point have said, I don't want to pay back taxes. I don't want to take the property. That's hurting my buying power. Just get me out of the lien. And that's where this opportunity comes up for other investors. And I don't want to belittle investors that would be interested in this, but we would call them smaller investors, that are not leveraging their money through a bank in order to buy tax liens. Now, you can still leverage your money to buy fix and flips, but this particular ideal and most tax lien buyers are leveraging under very specific terms for only tax liens. So they can't and they don't want to take the deeds to the property. And you figure in the state of Illinois, if you've got 3 years of redemption rights, you've got 3 years of taxes there. That's 3 more liens that they could buy in a tax sale. So it's very detrimental to them. So this is where you come in, and essentially you pay the back taxes, and if there are municipal liens involved, the deed is then recorded, and then you do whatever you want with the property. You either cash flow it, and we'll look at examples of how that works next, but that's where you start making money. So we've essentially taken the secondary market and accelerated it on behalf of the investor by 9 months. So they've already gone through foreclosure, whereas secondary market is ready for foreclosure. So these are done. All you have to do is pay the back taxes, record the deed, and you're on your way to cash flowing the property. Whether it's fix and flip, whether it's just flip, whether it's rent, it's ready to go. Recording the deed and getting title to the property at this stage takes about 30 days.
And you've got some more examples of actual properties that you're
yes, yeah, I've got more examples of properties that are there, and we'll get right to it. So these are examples of what's available right now. These you could buy these tonight if you wanted to.
Okay, yeah, and these are opportunities for you guys. And at the end of this presentation, Charles will give you his information on how to contact his office and actually buy any of these houses that he has available.
Yeah. So looking at this one, you can obviously tell it's occupied. Possibly by somebody who likes hoarding. There's a lot of stuff outside. We see that a lot in distressed real estate as well. But your cost on this, again, our minimum investment is $50,000, but your cost on this particular investment would only be $10,722.51. So that is to buy this house and take it to whatever direction you want. If you want to use PIP to help you go in that direction, you can. If like your other student who will show you the results of at the end wants to do it on your own, you can. All we are essentially at this point is the middleman that is essentially liquidating the asset. So this again it's ready now. The as-is resale, the repaired resale, the cash flow, the online valuation. I've put the addresses here. You can go pull this information yourself and do your own due diligence. You'll find that the online valuation is right on the mark. Most of the times we use the lower of what we find online. I am not a supporter of online valuations, but 99% of investors use them. But I'll just say that you'll find this particular property will show $30,000. It'll show $70,000. We picked $59,000. So we picked it from one of the online valuations. Performance by the numbers. If we just flipped it as it is, your profits on it are $21,778. That's 203% profit. And no waiting time. The deed is ready to be recorded. That is your total cost involved. That is including all the back taxes, everything. So 203%, that seems a little far-fetched, but it's accurate. Again, distressed real estate is not sexy, but it's very profitable. Repaired flip. Now, I've put an asterisk here by the 179, the 179%. And the reason for that is a lot of investors, especially in the distressed realm, they're just getting their feet on the ground with regards to investing in real estate, and they have a hard time understanding the time value of money. So repaired flip, you look at this and say, well, why would I spend more money to repair it and end up with a lower return? Well, time value of money dictates that if you put some paint on this house and clean it up a little bit, you're going to sell it a lot faster. So that 179% annualized actually becomes a better annualized profit than an as-if flip profit would become. So that's the reason for the asterisk there is time value of money. I stress time value of money to all our clients, because when you look at the annualized returns versus the cash on cash, they become very different numbers.
Okay, so the as-is flip is if you're wholesaling it to another investor, and the repaired flip is you're fixing it up and then selling it retail.
Yep.
Value. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Cash flow on the rent, it's occupied right now. I'll get into the pros and cons of pre-deeds later, but the rent is based on what our local realtors say we would get for this particular property, but it's occupied right now. So once the story is finished being told, then we'll know exactly what we can get. But the low end is $600 a month. again, we're just these are opportunities that are available right now. We have about 100 that come through. Obviously, we can't go through all of them, but your cost on this would be $10,270. The as resale would be about 109% profit. The repaired flip on it is obviously much higher. There's no consideration of what needs to be done on this particular one, and the online valuation on it is $51,200. Repaired valuations, we obviously are usually lower than online valuations. We want to obviously hit the expectations versus push them to the envelope. And these numbers are generated based on, okay, if it was $45,000, $50,000, let's assume we sold it for $47,500. So this is a gross number with exception to the cash flow rent number. And we'll just keep going through these.
Okay, yeah, and if you guys have questions about any of these properties or about anything that Charles is talking about, there is a Q&A box. It usually is at the bottom of your screen. Sometimes it might be at the top of your screen, and you might have to even open it up. There might be a little arrow that you might have to click to open it up, but once you do open it up, there should be a Q&A box and a chat box, so you can type your questions into either of those boxes, and I will be checking those to give them to Charles.
Yep, great. And like I said, we're looking for profits here. It doesn't have to be sexy.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really good because let me tell you, the profits, the houses that I flip here in Pennsylvania, I have to pay a lot more for them, and I probably have to put just as much money into them, and I probably make the same amount of money, but I have to put a lot more money in, so my return on investment is not as good as something like this. Sometimes you do better with a smaller house,
right? Yeah,
like this, because you can do that.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, a lot of the times, like the little blue house I showed you, that is on our website as one of our monthly examples. So every month we put one performing profit up there, but it's one of those. But if you look at the trend of what we do, the properties that profit the most are the ones that cost the least. So that's getting somebody to not judge the book by its cover is probably the hardest part of what we do, because again, this is not something you or I are going to live in, but at the end of the day, it's an investment. It's not, you're not buying beachfront property to eventually retire and move into it. You're trying to make money to buy that beachfront property. So yeah. Let's go on. Again, these are all available now. There's more available than what I'm showing you here, but this is just what we pulled out to kind of example for you here. Again, the addresses are there. This one has actually already been started into repairs. A lot of foreclosures that we get into are just like that. We can tell because the windows are new. But what happens is, people get construction loans for very little credit or knowledge of what they're doing. They get that construction loan and then they don't meet it, and then it gets foreclosed, or the taxes get, in this case, the taxes go behind, and Here we are with a property that's been halfway repaired and needs more, but at least it's been started. The numbers are coming down a little bit, but they're still very, very good. Repaired flipped, we're at 101%. As is flipped, we're at 78%. The cash flow rent is unknown because it's kind of a rural area, the address is, so we don't really have anything to compare it to.
And this house is probably vacant too, right?
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, somebody started rehabbing it and then they just left the project. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I actually like these because usually there's less work to do.
Yeah, I like them too because they're vacant.
Right. Yeah.
Even though you have to deal with stuff that, you guys probably, Illinois, you might have to deal with this too, but here in Pennsylvania, I have to deal with broken pipes in almost every house that I rehab.
Yeah. The copper bandits. Yeah, no, that's a big problem, and it is for us as well. But it's the bigger unknown for us. If there's copper missing, we know what that's going to cost. The bigger unknown for us is when it's occupied and we have to do an eviction, and they know how to work the system. because that starts really cutting into your annualized return.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's why I like vacant houses, because I don't have to worry about that. But when I'm talking about the pipes, I mean here in Pennsylvania, see, that snow that you showed us in the beginning, you don't get that all the time, Charles. Here, well, it's been really single digit cold here. And one night it went to like 2 degrees.
yeah, I
So,
don't know how you guys do that. I
right,
really don't.
well, when you have a vacant house, and even when they winterize it, it's not always done properly. But a lot of times they don't do it in time, and there's always like uh, busted pipes when you do turn the water on in the house. So yeah,
That's a
so
joy.
that's something we have to deal with here.
Yeah, that's
But I do like vacant houses anyway, because you don't have to worry about evictions.
No, I do too. And I mean, some clients, they'll see that there's boards up on it, and it's like, hey, at least they secured it. We know that, instead of having busted out windows, that sort of thing. So again, it's getting past that initial reaction of judging a book by its cover, rather than seeing the profits that are available there. But yeah, the weather we have here right now hasn't been here in 40 years, and I definitely don't like it.
Okay, and we got some questions too. Now, all these properties you're showing us are Illinois, right?
All of them are Illinois.
Got it.
We do have
Okay.
others that come through hedge funds, and on a Q&A slide in a minute, essentially what we have is constantly in rotation. So something I show you today might not be here tomorrow, but there may be something similar. If you're looking for it in Florida, for example, that's a very popular state for hedge funds to invest in. It may be there in a week. The way they come in is just, it's how they process their things. But this is all internal that I'm showing you right now. So we know what's going on with it. We have control of it. We know what door knockings we've done. If we're going to be able to rent it to who is in there now, that sort of thing.
All right, and I know you have some more houses to show us, but do you want to answer some of these questions now, or do you want to go ahead and
No, go ahead. Now let's go ahead and
Oh,
do some answers.
okay, great. Somebody wants to know, when can we purchase and how do we do this?
And so in a upcoming slide, I'm going to give you the address for the email address for Lena. So how we're going to work these particular ones is first come first serve basis. Email her, and I'm gonna wait till you guys see her email on the slide, and then you guys can do the email. But for these particular ones, first come first serve. And again, like I said, if it's gone, or it doesn't meet your terms, not a big deal. We're going to have a bunch more that are either already out there or they're coming through the pipeline. So right now we've probably got 100, and they're in a constant rotation. So we're always going to have 100 coming in, 100 going out. So if this particular one doesn't work, or you missed out on this particular one, not a big deal. We've got a bunch more that we can offer you.
Okay, and some of these questions that I got are questions that you have answered earlier in the call. So you guys might want to, by the way, this is our wealth building webinar. So this webinar is free for everybody to come live, but if you want the recording, you want to join wealth building webinars, you can find out more about that on taxlienlady.com/WBW. Okay, for wealth building webinars. Now, but these other questions, I'm going to give them to you anyway, so you can answer them quickly. I know you've answered them in more detail earlier in the call, but Stanley asked, who pays for the repairs on the properties?
It's your property. You pay for the repairs. If you hire PIP to handle the process for you, we'll make sure it's all done correctly. We'll beat on the contractors. We take away that potential loss, if you will, if the contractor happens to pick up and run, which does happen. So there are some protective measures for hiring PIP to do it, but it's your property. It's going to be recorded in your name, and if you hired us to handle things, we're going to essentially provide you with the estimates and everything of what we think. But again, the repairs are yours to pay.
All right. And Frank asked, what really is a pre-deed? Now, Charles spent the first half of this presentation going over what is a pre-deed, but Charles, I'm gonna try to answer this for you. And if I can do it, then everybody else should really know if they just watch this video again. But uh, basically, another tax lien buyer bought a lien and started the foreclosure and got final judgment. They actually got the property, and all that's left is for the taxes, any outstanding back taxes to be paid on it, and the deed to be recorded now. Is that correct, Charles?
That is 100% correct.
Okay. All right. So basically, Frank, that's what it is. And if you want to know any other details, you'll have to join the wealth building webinars and watch the beginning of this training. And let's see, we have more.
I was going to say, once one question gets asked, then they all start asking.
Yeah, we've got a ton of questions. So here's what I'm going to do, Charles. I'm going to let you show this so that you could get to that slide, and
Okay.
with Lena's email on there.
Okay.
And if you guys saw the beginning, you saw that picture of Lena with Alexander. Is that your?
Yeah, that's our little guy.
Little guy, yeah.
We have another one on the way.
Oh, wow, congratulations. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but yeah. So yeah, I'll keep going through so you can read the questions, and maybe some of the questions will get answered as we go through this.
Yeah. Go ahead, and when you get to that slide, I'll stop and I'll get to more questions.
Okay, great. All right, so this next one here, there's no profit as just flipping it without putting repairs into it, but there's a great profit if you do put the repairs into it. So this was kind of like the example you mentioned earlier, Joanne, where you're buying fix and flips and you're having to put money into them in order to make a profit. That's a typical fix and flip. We do those all the time as well. This one, as far as tax sales are concerned, tax deeds are concerned, usually you've got more margin of error, if you will, where you're acquiring them for less, but it's still a great property. It's big. It's on a big lot. The next door neighbor has already shown interest in helping it be repaired and resold. So that this has to be flipped in order to make the profit, essentially. But the profit is definitely there for an investor that is essentially in the fix and flip game, if you will. So this one's ugly. This is an ugly house. I mean, it's ugly, but it's occupied, and you can see by the car it's a late model Chrysler 300 sitting there, and this is, I put this one in here because it is a perfect example of how you look past the ugly. Does it need a roof? Yes, it does. It's on a good foundation. However, I mean, paint, some flashing, some window glaze, and this thing is going to be a completely different property without a whole lot of investment that's necessary. I mean, this really isn't a bad looking property from my eyes at all.
That could look really nice. I'm looking at it, and that could look really nice. And that's like a lot of the ones that I do here. Yeah. A lot of them don't look so good because I buy foreclosure properties.
Right, exactly. Anything distressed. Yeah, distressed is distressed. It's not sexy, it's profitable. Yeah. So that's what this one is. The rent on it, it's a pretty big property. And again, on a slide I'll get to in the future, there's a question as to whether it might be a duplex or not. So the cash flow on it could actually be a lot more than it is. We're going with the assumption it's not. So the cost on it is $12,500 basically. If we sold it just like it is, you're looking at $22,000 to $26,000. Repaired, you're looking at a much bigger, better number. And again, the cash flow out of the rent on this particular property, if it were a duplex, and again, we're assuming it's not, would be a lot better than the 51.6%. Now, I'm showing huge numbers, so I want to point out the fact that the national average cash flow on a rental property net is 6%. If you're doing 8% or better, you're considered to be, off the charts, over the top. But most people who buy cash flow properties, they're buying them wholesale, they're fixing them up, and by the time they fix them up, they're at a retail price or a retail cost, if you will. So they end up in that national average. Again, it's not sexy, but it's profitable.
Yeah, I think with a house like that, though, what most investors want to do is rehab. If they're going to rehab it, they're going to sell it, because when you put that money into it, you want to get your money back out right away rather than do the
Right.
thing. And for rental property, you want to find something that doesn't need as much work and can be rented out right away.
Right. Yeah. And we've got a lot of those as well. Part of those process slides I showed you, part of doing those door knockers and whatnot is to essentially get the story of what's going on. So, we call it pre-selling or pre-leasing. And it's, essentially having a game plan before we even take the deed to the property. So we know exactly what it's going to do, what it's going to generate as far as profits are concerned. But again, we'll get to that in a second. So how do we help you? Again, we're a service provider. So we provide the services of investing in distressed real estate from A to Z. So it's the due diligence, it's the legal work, it's handling evictions if necessary, overseeing repairs, getting the properties tenanted if it's a cash flow, or fixed and flipped. It's managing the entire process from A to Z, all the way through the resale. What if you want to manage, or what if you want to buy and manage it yourself? Absolutely. There's no tack on fees or anything like that. The price we show you is the price you pay. And like the example, the little bait slide I showed you, that particular student, she just wanted the investment. She didn't want us to hire our services, and she did phenomenally well by doing it herself. So again, if you don't want to hire us, you don't have to, but you can still buy the investment. It's still there for you.
Yeah, while you're talking about that, we've gotten some questions about that too. In case you manage the property and do the complete first of all, the complete pre-deed process, guys, what Charles is saying is that the prices that he's showing you, that's the price of the property. That's it. You don't pay PIP anything to buy the property except for the price that he's showing you, okay? Now, if you want them to manage the property, then, of course, all that work, there's a price to that. And somebody's asking, a couple people actually, what's the price for, what's the management cost? Yeah.
Okay. So if you're buying and holding to rent it out, then we're charging you 15% of the net rent on the property. If you're buying to fix and flip, it depends on the model that you choose through our contracts. But depending on the model, it's either 25% or 35% or 30% of the net profits. So not the net sale, not the gross sale, the net profit that you make. So if we're looking at the net profits on these performance by the numbers, if we use the as-is flip, your net on that was $11,565. We would charge you 25% of the net profit of that number. So roughly $3,000.
Okay. Yeah. Reasonable.
Yeah. So very, very reasonable to not have to deal with the headaches of all the evictions and everything else.
Okay. And we also got a question that you've already answered. Jay had asked if you handle the repairs, and she said, my question answered. Thank you. And I'm not really sure if Jay is a she or he, because it's just Jay.
Just Jay.
I don't know. Yeah, just a first letter. So.
And for those of you who have never had to host a webinar, it's nearly impossible to read the questions and host a webinar at the same time. So
yeah, that's why I'm reading the questions for Charles, because he's going through his presentation, and and especially if you're me, Charles, because I'm one of those people that can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right. Right.
All right. Now, Jack's asking if you have properties in California.
Nothing in California. We actually don't even think about considering California. The laws, we invest in states that we consider investor friendly, but we also invest in areas that we consider recession proof. California, not anywhere in the states we consider to be either of those categories.
Right. And we have questions about different states, so I'm just going to ask you. Somebody else is asking about Wisconsin. Do you ever get Wisconsin properties?
No Wisconsin. The primary states that we're in are going to be Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
and
we
we
did get
dabble
a.
in Kentucky a bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we did get a question about Georgia. So Tiffany, that answered your question. And one more state, Michigan, but you didn't mention Michigan as being one of the states that you're in. So.
No, no, we're not in Michigan. We're thinking about getting into Detroit, but usually before we test market our own money for at least 2 years before we'll offer it to an investor, if you will. So we haven't even gotten to that phase yet in the state of Michigan, but we're primarily looking at Detroit right now.
That is really good to know, guys, that, PIP doesn't do this with investors, with their clients until they actually make it work for themselves. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then to add to that is once we offer it to investors, we have to pull out of that state. It's a conflict of interest. So if we go to an auction and we're buying for PIP and we're also buying for clients, well, obviously we're going to prioritize our money over a client. So that's a big no-no. So once an investment is offered to a client or a potential investor, we have to pull out of that investment. So it avoids the conflict of interest that could be out there.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Um, Julie asks, is this a good option for long distance investors or do we need to be hands-on? I think you kind of answered that because and I know because I have students that invest with you and I know they're long distance investors.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, as long as you're hiring PIP or a service provider for you, absolutely you can do it long distance. If you're not hiring a service provider, I would definitely say you should be at least within 5 hour drive of the investment. And I'm not even sure where your student is that did all of this. And yes, you can do it remotely. I just don't recommend it. If you've hired a contractor, it's really hard to confirm what they're doing without being.
Mm.
So that becomes an issue for us as well. So we have to surprise contractors when we show up, and they were supposed to do a clean out, which is essentially rip everything out of the house. And it's not done, but they've billed us the second installment of its payment. So there's things like that. So that's why we are what we are, is to take care of those headaches for you. So
Yeah, I will vouch for that. I like to stay real close to my house with the houses I do that I'm managing the rehab on because you really have to oversee it. That's why, PIP gives you that choice of having them manage that for you. I would really recommend that unless you live near the property.
yeah, no, absolutely.
From experience, I know.
Yeah, and we still even get caught. We do hundreds of these a year, and we still get caught from time to time with contractors. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's the hardest part I think of rehab, flipping properties is managing the rehab.
Yeah.
Um, in my opinion, from what I've done. Um, okay, so Frank is asking, so what kind of paperwork can PIP Group provide so that one can review the property and all the due diligence done? Does PIP provide a PDF or similar paperwork so one can review? I think you have something online where they can go check it out, don't you?
We do, and that is a fantastic question, and it's the one slide I haven't provided here. So we have our own online platform. It's called Harbor, and what we'll do is when you reach out to Lena, she can give you the login information for Harbor. some of these are not going to be loaded yet. These will be, but some of the other opportunities that we have won't be loaded yet because they turn too quickly. But PDFs of inspections, PDFs of the legal paperwork for the prove-ups will be in there. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. I just don't have the slide to show that it's there.
Yeah, and we have some more questions, but why don't you go ahead, because I want you to get to the slide with Lena's address, because I know right now there's people that just can't wait
Right?
to email her
And
to find this stuff out.
sitting in the other room going, oh man, I'm going to read all up there. And there you go. Bam.
She's not going to like us very much after this.
Yep. So Lena is Lena at pipgroup.com. And this is not a good news, bad news slide. I should have fixed that, but there's nothing bad news about Lena. This is who you want to email to get more information on the properties. If you were able to capture the address, that would certainly be helpful in expediting the process. But there you go. That's her email, and she is standing by as we speak, and we'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Okay, and do you have any more slides on here that you want
to
show us? Okay, all right.
You want me to get through them?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see that house that you showed at the beginning.
Right. Okay.
And then I do have some more questions, but I want to see that house.
Okay. So I've already said this. Good news. We always have more to offer. There's always 100 or so on the books. The list changes daily, so you need to call our office or email us to the best thing to do is give us your exit strategy or what you're trying to accomplish, and then let us scout the property for you through our database. That's the best way to do it, rather than try to shuffle through all of this stuff and figure it out on your own. Let us pick 2 or 3 or 4 that we think fit what you're looking for. We're all about understanding investors' needs and spending the time with them to figure out exactly what they're trying to accomplish. So you may call us and say, hey, I really like this one, and before the end of the phone call we say, no, you're better off in this one. So that's the best way to get these lists and to contact us daily, because the list does change daily.
Yeah, and from time to time, I get lists from you too, and I make them available to my members.
Right.
So
yeah.
You guys that are members, when Charles gives me a list of either pre-deed properties or secondary liens, I make those available to members.
Yeah. So this slide in particular is pretty important, and this one goes towards due diligence. The good news about pre-deed is we're able to pre-sell, pre-evaluate, pre-estimate, pre-lease, and often they're already occupied many times by renters. So as soon as you take the title, we've got a lease in place and a cash flow immediately, something like that, or even a contract for deed. The bad news is that, like 95% of foreclosures, we can't get inside before you own it. So although we can look at the outside, and we've done this enough times to be able to say, okay, the outside looks like this, the inside is going to look like that. And 99% of the time we're right. But there's going to be that 1% of the time that we're wrong. So there is that hidden element of surprise, because we can't get inside the properties until we own them. So other than poking our heads in the windows, and sometimes we can't even do that.
Yeah, and that just comes with the territory for tax defaulted houses. If you buy deeds, it's the same thing for when you buy a deed property. You can't get in there until after you purchase the property and after the deed is recorded. And I buy properties on auction.com, those websites, and Charles, you wouldn't believe it, but you're buying a property from a bank and you're not allowed to look at it until after you close on the property. It's
right. Yeah. 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 Oh yeah. I mean, we buy by a lot of other means as well, but we use auction.com too. And, you get to have that outside look. So you learn eventually how to again, look at the outside and see what kind of condition it's in. And you can pretty much guarantee that the outside is going to be very close to what the inside looks like. we've gotten surprised a few times where, the outside looks great and the inside is just a disaster. But again, it's distressed real estate. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
The price we quote on each is inclusive of all costs, and you're getting clear title to the property. The bad news, the cost shown may have changed slightly. So they're tax liens, right? They're tax default properties. So every month the interest on the taxes is going to go up. It's not a surprise little tack on or anything that we're doing, but it's January 3rd. These properties came to us in December, so they're likely going to have a little bit higher of a cost of acquisition. They may not. We may have done our homework. I didn't actually put those particular slides together. We may be in the January tax bracket or whatever you want to call it. But that's the more time that goes by, the more the price is going to go up. It's not us. It's because they're accruing interest. The other one is that municipal liens may be associated. We're trying to account for all of that in the price we show. But again, if they had to go in because it's 2 degrees and they had to winterize it last week, we're not going to have those details until a couple more weeks or even 30 days down the road. So I just want to emphasize that this is not a bait and switch type tactic. It's going to be very close to the figure we showed you already, but it may have increased a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to qualify what I said too earlier when somebody asked about, your cost for buying these properties. The price that he's showing you for these properties, that's the price of the property. However, if you were here in the beginning of when he talked about the process, you purchase the property and then you have to pay the back taxes. So that's what he's talking about now. Those back taxes keep accruing.
Yeah, well,
as time goes by, so.
The back taxes keep accruing. However, the numbers that we've shown you, they're going to be December or January numbers. So they're going to include the back taxes. You just have to pay them. It's part of that number I showed you, but it has to be paid before you get the deed, essentially. So it's not the cost I showed you plus back taxes. Back taxes are in there. So it just might be increased slightly because they're accruing interest.
Okay, got you. Great.
Okay, so here we are. Back to this beauty. Yes, this beauty. And again, all we did was broker this deal through one of your students. The property had all these Band-Aids on it. She did a contract for deed for $65,000 on this thing. Her total investment was $13,309.90. Now, because she was your student and we didn't manage the process after we sold her the property, we cannot guarantee that that's all she paid. However, our understanding is that's all she put into the property, and then she did a contract for deed. So what I want to do is I want to break down those numbers. She purchased it as a secondary market property, but we had already engaged in a foreclosure. So we transferred it to her as a pre-deed. So she still had to wait those 9 months. So the purchase price was $13,309.90. She, on her own, sold it as a contract for deed for $65,000. Now, if this had been done by PIP, we would have required a deposit of initial investment plus 10%. That would have come to $14,639.90. The contract for deed would have been at 11.5% for 7 years. Because, again, we want to make sure the payments are there that they can actually afford to pay them rather than have to go through this process all over again. So $50,360.10 at 11.5% for 7 years. Total payments, including interest, comes to $73,549. Total load paid is $73,549 plus the deposit for a total return to her of $88,188.90. Now, again, these are our assumptions based on if we had been the manager. What she charged for interest and the terms that she put in place could have been different, but this is what we would have done. So her profit minus her cost was $74,879, or a 563% profit. Annualized over 8 years is 70.38% per year. That's ridiculous numbers. And that's why I wanted to save it to the end, because I didn't want everybody to just take off and leave when I'm showing, 500% profits. But this is what one of your students did.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like she
Ugly,
did anything to the property.
right? I mean, it's ugly. It's awful. It's just a disgusting piece of property. So.
Ugly and profitable.
Exactly. It's not sexy, but it's profitable.
Right.
So this is what she did. It's a great. I mean, I won't say it's better than anything we've ever done, but it's up there. It's up there. So she did a great job on this particular investment, and something that 9 out of 10 people would look at and say, "No way, I'm not touching that." So again, don't judge the book by its cover, because there could be a ton of money in there for you. And that's it. I've given you Lena's email. That's our toll-free number. If you send another email to info@PIP Group, it will automatically come to me. But quite honestly, I'm going to just forward it on to Lena.
Yeah, just folks, trust me, email Lena.
Right. If you want a quick return, email Lena.
Yeah. And we got some. And is this your last slide, Charles?
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
Great. I've got some questions we can answer. And Frank, you got some really great questions here tonight. And he's asking, does somebody have to be accredited?
No. Not
And also, are the profits indicated as short-term capital gain, long-term, or income? What kind of 1099 or K-1 paperwork is provided?
That is a fantastic question. However, it's one I can't answer. No, but seriously, it's based on we steer clear of accounting practices, because everyone does things differently. If you're investing through an LLC, that is going to change. If you're investing using a self-directed IRA, that's going to change things. The short-term capital gains, if you're doing a 1031, that's going to change things. It's a great question. It's just one I can't answer.
You really need to talk to your CPA.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it really depends on your situation and what exactly you're doing with the property.
Yeah, and it's a compliance thing. We can't really answer that very clearly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me just make sure. Now, Maria had asked a question. What about if you're not able to sell? I think what you mean, Maria, is if you're not able to sell the house. I think I'm just going to interject my opinion on that, and that means you priced it. You didn't do your homework ahead of time, and you didn't price it right when you sold it. I don't know if you have anything that you want to say about that, Charles?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, on one particular one, I felt we priced it too low because it sold too quickly. So there's certainly a sweet spot, but you've got so much margin. I don't want to say margin for error, but you've got a lot of margin to work with here. So if it's not priced right, you're going to be able to drop it. And again, with us, we call it recession proof. So all of a sudden the bottom falls out of the market. And mortgages are, takes an act of Congress to get. You still have got great cash flow opportunity in there. And that's why we try to show cash flow as well as fix and flip. So you may be stuck with the property for a while, but it's still going to be returning a lot of profits to you in the meantime. So that's why we use the term recession proof. We're not buying $250,000 properties that, only a certain level of class can qualify for. Everything we buy is it qualifies for VA loans. It qualifies for, first-time buyer type grants. It's the kind of stuff that if there were another recession, it's the first type of properties that they're going to try and give an adrenaline shot to push through the market. If it doesn't sell, it's not priced right. However, if it's going to take some serious economic problems for that to be the case.
Mm. Okay, and Jack is asking for you to please repeat the states where you have the properties, where that you that you have properties in that are
Indiana,
available.
Illinois, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio.
Okay. Now, all the ones that he's showing you today are Illinois, but he does have properties in those other states available. And Derek is asking if I don't want to put the property in my name, can I put it in a trust name or an LLC?
Anything,
Yeah,
absolutely,
anything you
anything
want.
you want, anything you want. Yeah, I mean, if you're not doing it through a self-directed IRA, my suggestion would be put it in an LLC, just because there's great tax advantages to doing that.
Yeah, I like a LLC too because if you, it makes it easier to sell the property too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We, if you, um, eh, not necessarily in this case, but with bank properties, if you ever wanted to do a double close, sometimes the only way to do it is if you buy the property in an LLC.
Right. Back to Jack's question, I did want to go a little further on that. So we do offer in those other states. Those other states, the properties are going to be coming from those hedge funds I mentioned. So we're not going to be as intimate, if you will, with those. We're not going to have the door knocker details is essentially what we call it, where we know it's occupied, by an owner versus a tenant. Those kind of details. There's still great opportunities, but the story behind them or the paperwork behind them, if you will, would not have been engaged by us. So we may not have the answers to as many questions as you would have the answers to in the Illinois stuff.
Yeah, these properties are more thorough because a lot of these properties are properties that you bought for your
Right,
clients.
right.
Yeah, and they just don't want to hold they just don't want to hold the property.
Exactly.
Um, okay, I'm just looking to make sure that I didn't miss any of these questions. Here's a good question from Ronald. If I buy a property from Charles, what kind of deed will I get? Quit claim deed or warranty deed?
Warranty deed. I mean, it still says tax deed at the top, but it's clear title, it's quiet title, and it's being transacted through the county. So it's going to come into your name or whatever entity you want it in through that county, not through us. So it's not going to be a quick claim deed. Where we've bought it and we've paid the back taxes and we're just assigning it over to you. It comes direct from the county in your name.
And here's another good question that I know the answer to, but I'm going to let you answer it. Will I be able to inspect the house before I buy it? We talked about this before, but in case it wasn't clear.
Yeah, no, not at all. You can do a drive-by, but I definitely wouldn't suggest you go knock on the door.
Yeah, until you get that deed to the property and record it, you don't own it. So you actually have to close on it, get that deed, and get that deed recorded. Okay. I think, oh, we got a couple of new ones here. Can you recommend a self-directed IRA that can be used for real estate investments?
Oh, I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I know. Um, I'll tell you here, there are quite a few self-directed IRA companies out there. But you just have to make sure that they are truly self-directed and that you can get the money out and invest in what you want to invest in. That being said, there are some companies that will guide you in the process so that you don't make any mistakes about that, but they will also make it harder for you to get your money out.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's pros and cons.
The only thing I can say on that is bigger is not always better.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because yeah, they have more red tape and they make it harder for you to get
Yeah, yeah.
your money. So and I do have webinars in the wealth building webinar series that I've done with different IRA companies, and also in the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator, any of you guys that are my members. Let's see. Michelle asks, if the property can be resold immediately at a profit, what is the reason why you're not just selling it to the open market at the resale price? That's a good question, Michelle.
That is a good question. Okay, so again, it has to do with leverage. The investor and or the fund that has these properties, they technically, in some cases, cannot acquire the property. They're just not allowed to within the boundaries of the leveraging they've done. So that presents that opportunity to sell it immediately, or that negates the opportunity to sell it immediately, because no matter what, they have to pay the taxes, and then they have to take that risk, if you will, of, okay, now I've paid the taxes, now I own it, now I can go look at it. Hopefully, everything is exactly how I saw it. So they literally cannot do that. So that's 9 times out of 10. That's the situation. Other situations, they just don't want to do it. They don't want to look at this particular property and say, "There's no way you're going to turn those kind of profits for me. It's not going to happen." They're just set in their ways. Other folks, it's just not part of their exit strategy. They don't want to acquire it. They've acquired it through a trust, and maybe the trust has its own terms, or maybe it's through an IRA, and there's just not the funds left in order to be able to do it. They made an investment for $10,000. That's what they had in their IRA. But in order to acquire the property, it's going to be $13,000. So they just can't. As far as PIP is concerned, that is a huge conflict of interest. I'd love to acquire these and do just that, but that becomes very sketchy and very predatory. It could very easily be said that we told a client not to foreclose on it, and then we went and did it and made all those profits. So we cannot do it. So hopefully that answers your questions on a number of different levels.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's not just about they have the property and now they can sell it. They still have to pay the back taxes before
Right.
they own the property. So they don't want to come up with those back taxes. That's why so they put less money into it than, I don't know, Charles, you want to show us one of those slides again so that we could see what that means?
Well, I don't show any of the back
Oh,
taxes.
you don't show the back taxes, but your cost, like on this one, that $9,851, that includes the back taxes. Like this investor might have only paid,
$2,000,
$2,000
yeah.
or $3,000 for the lien, and they don't want to, and they want that other $6,000 and whatever dollars. They want to take that and buy more liens with it. They don't want to foreclose on this property, or, well, it's already been foreclosed, but they don't want to pay the back taxes on it now.
Yeah, they just want out of it, so in order to create more buying power for next tax season.
Yeah. So there are different, and then the hedge funds, as Charles was talking about, they might have rules and regulations that don't allow them to own that many properties. Okay, so I hope that I've answered your question, and I think that we've got all the questions, and I know we've gone a little over here, but we do have a couple more questions. All right, and if you know what, we're willing to stay a few more minutes and answer these questions for you guys. Okay, if I'm interested in a specific county or area in Illinois, can they look for me? Can they look for it? Let me tell you, they probably have it already.
Right. We are in 90. God, I always get this number wrong. I believe 94 out of 107 counties in the state of Illinois. We do not touch Cook or the collar counties, and the collar counties are going to be Kane, DuPage. We're in Lake. We're in Will. I'm leaving one out there, but anyhow, we're everywhere else other than.
Well, I know you're in Kankakee.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you're in quite a few counties, but yeah, why not Cook? Because it is it's not in one of those areas where,
Well,
well, first of all, it's very
we have,
competitive.
yeah, it's competitive, but we also have a saying in the office: "Cook is for crooks." So that's why we're not in Cook.
Yeah, it's just one of those areas. I mean, for myself, even for the liens that I do in New Jersey, I stay out of the big cities. I
Yeah,
don't go into the cities. I go into the rural areas, really.
yeah, yeah.
And
But no, Cook is for crooks. DuPage is just too competitive. So we just stay out of those and go to the other ones.
okay, and let's see what else. What is the average time when PIP is involved, and do properties stay in the market before sold? So I guess he's asking about how long the properties stay on the market when you list them, and what's your average time that you're involved with the property before. And Frank, I'm not sure if you're asking properties they manage. I'm assuming that you mean properties that they manage.
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm just gonna take the assumption, assume that if you bought today one of these that I showed, how long is he gonna hold on to it before it's liquidated? Uh,
Right, right.
so once you acquire, we like 45 days for repairs if we're doing repairs. If we're not doing repairs, that becomes that time value of money again. It's going to sit there longer because it's not as appealing. So that's going to push the timelines out a little more. The short answer to the question is 6 to 9 months. However, everything usually sells in the spring and summer. Especially in the northern states like Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois, because a lot of times they're snow covered, and you don't
Hmm.
really you don't see everything that you're getting, if you will. But that's just real estate in general. Winter is dead, spring and summer it's hot. So that's
Yeah, I would give it at least 6 months.
yeah, yeah.
Personally, I'd give it 6 months. I know if you're rehabbing a property here, when I do properties here, I know it it generally is like 6 months, a little long. Like now through the winter time, doing a property now is taking a little bit longer
Mhm.
because of the snow. It'll probably be 7 months actually.
Yeah, you're not going to reshingle a roof in January. It's just not going to happen. So that'll push your lines a little bit more. But generally speaking, we say 6 to 9 months. If we're pushing it further, it is what it is. We're at the end of the day, we're always looking at the annualized return. So as long as that's there, everybody's happy.
All right, and I think. Um, And we have one more question about, let me see. Okay, actually, a couple, just to be sure, does it take about 9 months from the purchase until we get the deed and can start the rehab process? No.
No. That's a good question, though, because
Yeah.
that clarifies the difference between secondary market and what these pre-deeds are. So secondary market, if you bought a secondary market lien, it's going to take about 9 months to take it from secondary market through the foreclosure process. And then you're going to take the deed, and then you're going to start working on selling it. Still a great investment opportunity. However, these pre-deeds, they've already gone through that 9 month period. So you're going to take title to the property within 30 days of your commitment to make the acquisition. And then you're doing whatever you want to it from there. So if you're hiring PIP to do it, we're going to have contractors out there while we're waiting on the deed to essentially do a pre-estimate, if you will. So we have a game plan in place once you do have that deed, because for us, again, it's time value of money. If we can make your annualized look better, it makes us look better. So that's a big game for us. So, but the answer to the question is no. You don't have to wait 9 months. These are pre-deeds that are ready to go right now.
Yeah, and we got another question. How much does PIP charge to handle the repairs? And I think you answered that earlier, but um,
So all our fees, I did, but to clarify,
yeah.
all our fees are performance based. So the cheaper we can charge you, the better off we're going to be on the backside. And again, it's all about the percentages. So we're working for you to make sure that your costs are as little as possible. So we're not charging a fee on top of your costs. we're charging you a performance bonus on your profits.
Right, for the fix and flips.
Yeah, exactly.
For that you manage the repairs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, which
Yep.
I think is what they're asking there. Okay, all right. So I think we've answered all the questions that we have, and I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been real fun. It's always fun to talk to you, Charles, and I enjoy it, and I learn a lot. And there's some really good opportunities here. So you guys that have the cash now to take care of this is to do this, to invest in these properties. This is a really good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, give us a ring. Shoot us an email. We'll make it right for you. You'll definitely be happy with your investments and our not so sexy distressed real estate.
I think we've got Lena there in the background.
Really?
I think
I hear something, but I don't think she's
yeah,
a panelist, is she?
or some. I'm trying to find out because I know Debbie's muted. It's you and I, and Lena's the only other one that's not muted, and I can't mute her for some reason. Her office.
That's funny.
All right.
Fantastic. All right. It's always fun, Joanne. I love doing these webinars with you. They're not as uptight as the ones I usually do.
Yeah, we like to keep it fun,
right,
guys. So again, do you want to put that slide on there before we say goodnight? So with Lena's
yeah, let me get there.
Can you find it?
There it is.
All right, guys. So if you have questions, if you want to see some more properties, just email Lena at Lena, Lena at pipgroup.com. And she can even help you find, if you want to find a specific type of property in a specific county in Illinois, as somebody had asked about earlier, she can even help you do that.
Yeah, we've got commercial, we've got industrial, we've got a little bit of it all. So it really depends what people are looking for. But by all means, just let us know. We'll throw some stuff at you.
All right, and thank you, Charles, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. And have a very prosperous 2018, guys, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.